Reading Lesson 118, Video Part 2. Chapter 28, Back to the Cave. Let's look at today's comprehension questions to keep in mind for today's reading. Why did Tom and Huck go back to the cave? That's our focus question. Why did Tom think the treasure was located in the cave? What did Tom plan to do with Tom Sawyer's gang? Do you think Tom Sawyer's gang will really commit crimes? Explain your answer. Do you think Outlaw Joe's ghost would come to a place with a cross? Explain your answer. Your writing prompt today. Tom gets many of his ideas from books. Write a story that Tom might have read about robbers. Think about the following questions before you begin. Who are the main characters in the story? Where and when does the story take place? What do the main characters want? How do the main characters get what they want? And how does the story end? Make your story at least 80 words long. In the morning after Outlaw Joe's funeral, Tom took Huck to a private place to have an important talk. Huck had learned about Tom's adventure from the Welshman and the widow Douglas, but Tom said he reckoned that there was one thing they had not told Huck. That thing was that he wanted to talk about now. Huck's face saddened. He said to Tom, "I know what it is. They never found anything but illegal whiskey at the hotel. I knew you didn't have the money because you'd have to let me know some way or another. Tom, something's always told me we'd never get a hold of that treasure." "Well, Huck, think back to the Saturday I went to the picnic. Did you watch the hotel that night?" "Oh, yes. Why, it seems about a year ago. It was that very night that I followed Outlaw Joe to the widow's place." "You followed him?" Yes, but you keep quiet. I reckon Outlaw Joe's left friends behind him, and I don't want them doing me mean tricks. If it hadn't been for me, he'd be down in Texas now, all right?" Then Huck told his entire adventure to Tom, who had only heard part of it before. "Well," said Huck, presently coming back to the main question, "whoever found the whiskey in number 2 found the money too. I reckon, anyways. It's a goner for us, Tom." "Huck, that money wasn't ever in number 2. "What?" Huck searched his comrade's face. "Tom, have you got on the track of that money again?" "Huck, it's in the cave." Huck's eyes blazed. "Say it again, Tom." "The money's in the cave." "Tom, honest now. Are you making fun?" "I'm serious, Huck. Just as serious as I ever was in my life. Will you go in there with me and help get it out?" "I bet I will. If it's where we can blaze our way to find it and not get lost." "Huck, we can do that without the least little bit of trouble in the world. Good as gold. What makes you think the money's..." "Huck, you just wait till we get in there. If we don't find it, I'll agree to give you my drum and everything I've got in the world." "All right. When do we leave?" "Right now, if you say it." "Are you strong enough?" "It is far inside the cave. I've been on my little feet 3 or 4 days now, but I can't walk more than a mile, Tom. At least I don't think I can. It's about 5 miles into there the way anybody but me would go, Huck. But there's a mighty shortcut. I'll take you right to it in a skiff. I'll float the skiff down there, and I'll row it back again all by myself. You needn't lift a finger." "Let's start right off, Tom." "All right. We'll need some bread and meat and a little bag or two, and 2 or 3 kite strings and some candles." Shortly after noon, the boys borrowed a small skiff and got under way at once. When they were several miles below the cave hollow, Tom pointed to a bluff and said, "Now, you see this bluff here that looks all alike? No houses, no woods, bushes, all alike? But do you see that white place up yonder where there's been a landslide? Well, that's the landmark we're going to. We'll get ashore now. They landed. Now, Huck, where we're a standing, you could touch the hole I got out of with a fishing pole. See if you can find it. Huck searched all over and found nothing. Tom proudly marched into the thick clump of bushes and said, "Here you are. Here it is, Huck. It's the snuggest hole in the country. In this country. You just keep quiet about it. All along I've been wanting to find the right place to play robbers. We've got it now, and we'll keep it quiet. We'll only let Joe Harper and Ben Rogers in, of course. There's got to be a robbers gang, or else there wouldn't be any style about it. Tom Sawyer's gang. It sounds splendid, don't it, Huck?" "Well, it does, Tom. And who will we pretend to rob?" "Oh, most anybody." "And then what?" "Then we hide in the cave till they pay ransom." "What's ransom?" "Money. You make them raise all they can off their friends. After you've kept them a year and it ain't raised, then you kill them. That's the general way. Only you don't kill the women. They're always beautiful and rich. You take their watches and things, but you don't take your hat off and talk polite. There ain't anybody as polite as robbers. You'll see that in any book. Well, the women get to liking you, and after they've been in the cave a week or 2 weeks, you can't get them to leave. If you drove them out, they'd turn right around and come back. It's so in all the books. Why, it's great, Tom. I believe it's better than being a pirate." "Yes, it's better than in some ways because it's close to home and circuses and all." By this time, everything was ready. The boys entered the hole, Tom in the lead. They walked to the end of the tunnel. Then they tied their strings and moved on. A few steps brought them to the spring. Tom felt a shudder quiver all through him. He showed Huck the fragment of candles perched on a lump of clay against the wall, and described how he and Becky had watched the flames struggle and die. The boys began to quiet down to whispers now, for the stillness and gloom of the place dampened their spirits. They went on. Presently they entered followed Tom's other corridor until they reached the jumping-off place. The candles revealed the fact that this was not really a cliff, but only a steep clay hill 20 or 30 feet high. Tom whispered, "Now I'll show you something, Huck." He held his candle up and said, "Look as far around as the corner as you can. Do you see that? There, on the big rock over yonder." "Done with the candle smoke?" "Tom, it's a cross." "Yes. Now think back, Huck, to the time where we were in a haunted house, when Outlaw Joe and the other fellow talked about a hiding place. Number 2, where did they say it was?" Huck's expression was blank for a moment. Then his face brightened and he said, "Under the cross. Number 2 is under the cross." "Under that cross, Huck, right there. That's where I saw Outlaw Joe poke up his candle, Huck." Huck stared at the cross a while, and then said with a shaky voice, "Tom, let's get out of here." "What? And leave the treasure?" "Yes, leave it. Outlaw Joe's ghost is round and about here, certain." "No, it ain't, Huck. No, it ain't. It would haunt the place where he died, away at the mouth of the cave, 5 miles from here." "No, Tom, it wouldn't. It would hang around the money. I know the ways of ghosts, and so do you." Tom began to fear that Huck was right, but presently an idea occurred to him. "Looky here, Huck, what fools we're making of ourselves. Outlaw Joe's ghost ain't going to come around where there's a cross." The point was well taken, and it had its effect. "Tom, I didn't think of that, but that's so. It's luck for us, the cross is. I reckon we climb down there and hunt for that box." And that's the end of the story for this chapter. Let's review the comprehension questions. Why did Tom and Huck go back to the cave? To look for the treasure. Why did Tom think the treasure was located in the cave? He saw the cross on the cave wall. He saw Outlaw Joe near the cross. What did Tom plan to do with Tom Sawyer's gang? Kidnap people and hold them for ransom. 4. Do you think Tom Sawyer's gang would really commit crimes? Explain your answer. No, because Tom and Huck are just pretending, or yes, because Tom and Huck might become criminals when they grow up. 5. Do you think Outlaw Joe's ghost would come to a place with a cross? Explain your answer. No, because a cross is a sign of goodness and Outlaw Joe was evil. Or no, because there's no such thing as ghosts. Or yes, because Outlaw Joe wouldn't be scared of a cross. Don't forget to do part D. We have these words: provisions, fret, apprehensive, clad, tedious, famished, peel, revives, lavish. I'll repeat. Provisions, fret, apprehensive, clad, tedious, famished, peel, revives, lavish. 1. When you're uncertain and afraid, you are. 2. When something comes back to life or to a healthy state, it. 3. Another word for food is. 4. When bells ring loudly, they. 5. Another word for dressed is. 6. When you worry about something, you about that thing. Logic says write the answer for items 1 through 5. Here's a rule of logic. Just because you know about one part doesn't mean you know about another part. The following statement by a writer breaks the rule. We are reading poems by Walt Whitman in our English class. Last week we read a poem of his called Miracles. That poem didn't rhyme. Next week we'll read another poem of his, O Captain, My Captain. I'm sure that poem won't rhyme either. 1. What is the whole? 2. What are the two parts? 3. Which part do you know something about? 4. Which part does the writer draw a conclusion about? And 5. What does the writer conclude about that part? Don't forget to do parts F and G. And your independent work can begin now. Get busy.